so much of a technical player myself. What I do is express. That's what I do.
Welcome to another edition of Beatitude. I'm Clive Morgan.
And I'm Robert Roberts.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Dexys Midnight Runners, Kevin Rowland, and in particular the Don't Stand Me Down album from 1985, which we both think is a classic, and an unrecognised classic, Rob, eh?
Yeah, no, I do. I think that in certain parts of the music press it gets a lot of credit, but with a lot of people, I don't find.
Not many people know that. Well, Dexys in particular, I think anyway, a lot of people, they know Come On Eileen, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, if you're lucky, Gino.
Yeah, if you're lucky, Gino.
And that's pretty much it, isn't it? But
they seem to, because everybody I talk to will mention those two songs.
Yeah.
And like some of my other mates will laugh. Like,
yeah.
What, you're in Dexys Midnight Runners?
Well, the video didn't help them, did it? Come On Eileen for a start. And the fact that every fucking wedding you ever go to, you hear "Come On Eileen." There's that. But the fact that it's still played at weddings shows what a great song it is, isn't it?
I think it is a great song.
I think so too, man.
Some people might.
I mean, those two songs are the reason as well, and we'll get to this. Are the crux, and also the whole sort of reason d'etre behind Dexys and his own struggles with fame, success. Because those two songs to him, I'd imagine, would be, why did I fucking write those? Not so much now, but at the time. But we'll go into that in a bit anyway. And and there's a lot of little sub stories I think here with Kevin Rowland, which why he fascinates me so much. And I was saying to you earlier about the link. I think there's a link here between the artists we're podcasting. Love.
Arthur Lee.
Antonin Newcombe, Arthur Lee.
Yes.
They all had that, kicking against pricks sort of thing,
They definitely sort of had an artistic vision that they didn't want to, that they weren't willing to compromise. Were they?
And that, to their fault, really.
To their fault, and they certainly didn't want to play by industry kind of standards.
And we'll touch on quite a lot of that later on tonight with Kevin Rowland in particular.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, let's try it, come on.
I don't know, I was just sort of thinking how I was really fascinated by how they came from the punk, sort of new wave, post-punk era.
Yeah.
And they decided to be a soul band.
Yeah, there was nothing like that at the time, was there?
Yeah.
So like, what, 70, 79, 78, 79, they started gigging, didn't they? They released Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, their first album in 1980. Which, there was nothing else. I suppose you had the sort of two-tone stuff going on, which had elements of soul.
Yeah, because I suppose...
But a lot of that came later, didn't it?
Yeah, they sported the specials, I suppose, and I think perhaps certain ideas for a sort of big ensemble and like a bigger band kind of came from that.
It was a 10-piece band, wasn't it, originally?
Yeah.
Like everything. We were saying this earlier as well, we were looking for like information just for... we love, the whole reason we're doing this podcast is because we adore the band anyway. I don't know anyone else, Rob, apart from you, that loves them as much as I do. I really don't.
I don't think the only other person I know that has an affection for Dexys.
There's taste, man. Taste. But there's just not enough out there on them, and I think this is another reason why a lot of people don't know more than those two songs. Because unless you go and buy the albums, I think if you sat down and listened to the albums, you would go, this is a fucking good band.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
There's nothing out there. So I trawled YouTube, Google. There's hardly anything out there on them. So I think,
there's a need to do a podcast.
Yeah,
no, definitely. It's kind of like the sort of, I suppose I came to them in the influences that they had, and one of the reasons was the fashion and the style. Really.
Well, the mod thing's a big thing, isn't it? On Celtic and something. That's still a big album on the mod scene. I think it always will be because of the soul influence. You had what was his name? Al Green's drummer on drums, on Don't Stand Me Down. There's all these links for all the free
I
albums.
suppose you could even go back to sort of things like Northern Soul.
Yeah.
Must have had a massive
Yeah,
influence.
because there's some great...
They're a great working class band.
Yeah, they covered, didn't they? Breaking Down the Walls of Heartache.
Yeah.
Which is a Northern Soul classic.
And 7 Days.
7 Days Too Long.
Yeah.
So there's that Northern Soul scene anyway, isn't there? You're right. There is that link to the mod thing.
And another influence that he had on his vocals was like Brian Ferry from the early Roxy music.
Yeah, and
how he sort of translated that with soul music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was an interesting blend.
Yeah, there is. But one thing I did find on YouTube was an interesting interview with Kevin Rowland. I think from about 10 years ago, but as an older Kevin Rowland looking back, and he says that he went to see Roxy Music and they blew him away, and he was like, I want to do something like that, but with a bigger band and soul.
And soul music.
And soul music.
I think that you can't underestimate that sort of wanting to be in a soul band.
Yeah.
You know, for me anyway, you know, it's kind of like wanting to make soul music, and in a time when...
He had a great soul voice, didn't he?
He had a fantastic soul voice.
I think that's something Brian Ferry could never do with his voice, which is why they didn't obviously go that way. But straight away, what a soul voice he got.
Yeah.
Bit of Billy Stewart with his, all that. It's just had it all, didn't they? I mean, I adore his voice. I don't think there's any singer of any band.
By General Johnson, Chairman of the Board.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there as well.
Yeah. There is a lot of that.
But it's one thing to think, I want to sing like that, but to actually do it.
To do it. And
to do it live as well. He pulled it off live. There's a great gig on YouTube from 79, I think. I think I sent it to you ages ago. Like an hour gig. They just play. And you got the band behind them. And they're all dressed differently, because that's what he said. We didn't want to go with a uniform and all look the same. So he said, like, the trombonist would turn up in shorts or whatever and sunglasses, and then someone else would turn up, I don't know, in a fucking dress or something. And they're just this mad fucking 10-piece band, all with instruments. But then just blowing people away with the sound. It was all about the music, wasn't it?
No, definitely. I think, but they had an interesting take on... it wasn't a manufactured look.
No, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's what I mean.
It was thought out.
Yeah.
And it was maybe the influence of someone like Brian Ferry and Bowie, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe you can turn what the industry uses, as in looks, into something like an art form.
Yeah.
And I always thought that he did.
Yeah.
Like he turned clothes and the idea of
in a
clothes.
sort of Jack Railway.
As a statement.
Yeah.
As much as not as much as music, because the music is the most important thing. But you know what I mean, like, and have fun with it as well. So,
definitely.
And you said an interesting thing about how they got on with the press, because they sort of tagged them as the hippie press.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we'll get on to that bit in a minute. There's battles with the music press. But antagonistical as always.
Self-righteous hippie press.
So they released this album in 1980, and then they released a single, Gino, which was a massive success, went straight to number one.
Yeah.
And then it all started going downhill.
I suppose for Kevin Rowland in particular, it started to go downhill as sort of success was met with a lot of suspicion. And despair, really, as well, wasn't it? I don't think it was quite what he wanted, was it, or what he thought that he wanted?
There's, when he's interviewed, he does sort of say, I'd always wanted that success, but then when we got it and we had people turning up to the gigs that were literally just coming for Gino, they didn't want to listen to the rest of the songs. That really aggravated him to the point, and this is what I love about it, to the point that they stopped playing Gino. They wouldn't play it anymore. So you've got this band, number one band in the country. Everyone's going to see him. They want Gino, and even the bit in the record, the start, Gino. The crowds were doing that, and they were like, no, we're not fucking playing it.
I do think that's a great record.
It's an amazing record.
And I think the fact that it's about Chino Washington and the line academic, inspiration. You gave me, but you were my, you were the.
Yeah, you were my soul lover.
Yeah. You were the fire that won.
Yeah,
like, sort of thing. Like, it was amazing. I think I love that. You know, I always think it makes me think of my heroes. Like, you know, like sort of like, well, yeah, exactly. Academic inspiration, school, and other forms of like sort of social success of like work and so forth. You give me no inspiration in that sort of sense, but to me, you
still had it all.
Yeah. I was sort of thinking Johnny Rotten, which is hilarious to that. So, just versus.
But there is a lot. I think there's a lot of parallels with that. But even on the intro to this album, on Burn It Down, it starts off straight away again. And
it takes on the Pistols.
It take them on,
and they toured with the specials. And like it takes on the specials, and it takes on Deep Purple, and like we're saying, you know, for God's sakes, burn it. That's his radio introduction.
That's it, and he's flicking through the radio.
The fucking balls.
I know to do that. Yeah, contemporary.
Because most of the time you just listen to it and you could start laughing and think like, all right, they're garnish, but they come in.
I know, and they back it up. They back it up totally, don't they? If you're going to take on the best, your peers, you've got to fucking have the balls.
Your contemporary.
And they do.
You've got to have the balls, and they did. It's quite interesting they were managed by Bernie Rhodes in the beginning, weren't they? And which is the tune? Burn It Down was not originally called Burn It Down, was it? It was called Dance Dance.
Dance Dance,
by the behest of Bernie Rhodes.
That's right, yeah.
And
that was released, wasn't it, as well?
It was released as a single as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting, that kind of like punk, but they must have, I think they became deeply suspicious of Bernie Rhodes. And,
I think he became suspicious of everybody at that time, didn't he? And there's some great quotes in that interview. There's one I like where he says, a lot of things we did were to challenge people. It wasn't always intentional. You know, I think sometimes it was more of an artistic statement, you know, rather than a fuck you all, we're better. It was more of a come on then, let's see what you can do.
I think there's God, this is going to sound really pretentious. But I think it's just commitment to an artistic statement. In the clothes.
And that's what you want, isn't it? That's what you want from your music.
Yeah.
Put it out and then go, right, I die by that.
And it had great hooks, and you know, the songwriting is like absolutely amazing. I think it's, you know, it stands
lyrically, musically.
Lyrically fantastic. It's going places, it's interesting. I won't touch on the lyrics of Don't Stand Me Down yet, but like how he reflected his life, his forever changing. Sorry, I had to got that one in. Sort of character and personality, and how he felt about the world, and how he related to the world, and how he related to people, and even pop music in particular.
There was always striving for excellence, wasn't there? He says himself, again in that interview, I think Dexys is a story of unfulfilled potential, really. So they were always striving for the best.
For the best, yeah.
That's what you want, isn't it? Not to put out crap. Not to put. You know, I think these three albums in the space of 5 years, I don't think you can get a better trilogy of albums.
I totally agree with you, man. You know, and I love the idea of the first album, Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, like. You know, welcome to the new Soul Vision.
Yeah.
We're gonna like reinvent soul, but we're gonna sort of bring it.
When I listen to that album, it makes me feel
soul music.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I can take on the world in the same way.
Like we were talking about Nevermind the Bollocks. It's like Nevermind the Bollocks with the horns.
Yeah.
Or both of us agree.
Yeah. But that means I can listen to it more than Nevermind the Bollocks. Because it doesn't make me so pumped up.
I think it's because I've been going veering off course, because we listen to so much hip hop, which has got a big, you know, hip hop, the drums are fat, big in the mix, and the bass lines are big in the middle. Like, I was listening to Nevermind the Bollocks again.
I know.
Where's the rhythm section?
Yeah, it's all guitar, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're so well produced, isn't it?
It is so well produced.
Yeah, everything, because there's so much going on to hear everything. You know, you hear it all, don't you? You hear it all.
Yeah. Which is you know, you've got to get those levels right and the mixes right, haven't you? Really, and they do it to quite a high.
So that we had all that. So basically, Gino came out. They refused to play Gino live. So that didn't go down well with a lot of the fans, people who just bought tickets for that song. But I'm glad they did that. They stuck to their guns on it. Then he fell out with the music press. Took a full page advert.
Because there is a bit of a snippet in there, my dear, of where he goes like,
I love that.
And I love the line, I don't believe you like Frank Sinatra.
He sneers it, doesn't he? Yeah. There, my dear, is my favourite track on that album.
Yeah.
And to close the album anyway.
And I think, I always thought, it's been quite prescient to me at the moment with I don't want to get too political, but with the war going on in the Ukraine. And I'm going to most probably make a fool of myself, but I really do understand the lyric, the only way to change things is to shoot men who arrange things. Yeah. And I'll try, let me try to explain, but you'll never see in a million years. That is such a... When I hear that, I think of that, of like, no wonder the hippie press hate it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what you put, didn't he? He took out a full-page advert, and The NME, Melody Maker, Sounds, all the top music magazines at the time. And you got to remember, at that time, it's not like now when nobody buys a music press. Everyone bought the music press, didn't they?
That was a religion.
Full-page fucking advert in there.
Slating the drummer going...
Yeah.
When he was a kid and a teenager, and before he was in the Clash, always going back to where his mum and dad lived, to the sort of... newsagent to get the NME every week religiously, and people did.
Yeah, I just play the NME with every week. I miss those days.
I think I'm one of the
dying
breed that did that.
What would you write about? What would you read about now? There's nothing I care enough about. But then you had what, 20, 30 bands you wanted to read about. When's the album coming out? But yeah, so they fell out with the music press, took this full-page advert out to say basically we will not collaborate with the hippie press. We will no longer be talking to you. And of course they had to print it because he paid for this advert, which again is another artistic
I think it probably damaged their career.
Well, that was it then. There was no coverage, and they kind of they fell by the wayside a bit then.
Yeah, no, of course, but like
I mean, he has since said, and
God bless him, because probably the hippie press was snooty.
Yeah.
About.
And also because they could make or break bands, couldn't they?
Yeah.
They had that power.
They had the power to. People like Nick Kent.
Definitely.
They certainly had the power.
And I think it was almost that. We don't need you. We'll do it. We'll do it our way. And we're still talking about them now, so they obviously did.
Yeah.
But it must have been hard.
They outlasted the music.
Can you imagine the manager, the band's manager?
Maybe did.
So amazing. Well,
I know you're not a big fan of this band I'll mention, but I think Black Sabbath.
No, I don't mind Sabbath.
Did that a lot.
Yeah, they did.
They weren't loved by the press. It was actually fans and people that kept Sabbath going.
But there are a lot of similarities with the Stone Roses, I think, because like the Stone Roses,
Oasis.
They took on the record companies as well because they stole the master tapes. Searching for the young soul rebels. They went in, took all the master tapes from the EMI, just like the Stone Roses did with Silvertone, and they gave them back eventually. But again, it was another way of going, no, we will do it our fucking way.
We will do it our way.
We are not your horse.
The thing was, they weren't on a fashionable, trendy. Now I'm all for independent labels myself, but they were on the EMI.
Yeah.
So can you imagine doing that with a major corporation?
Especially after the Sex Pistols. But doing it with
But you can see what major corporations can do. You can see what's happening with John Lydon now, Disney and Pistols. You know what I mean? He's up a certain creek without a paddle. Mr. Kevin Rowland,
Danny Boyle thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that doing on Disney?
I don't know. One person described their depiction of Johnny Rotten as a Dickensian nightmare, rodent-made living or something like that.
I mean, I kind of get it. I get it. It was all right with the Beatles because the Beatles are quite
friendly,
Disney movies.
They are quite Disney.
It's family friendly, isn't it?
The Beatles are, aren't they? God bless them, God love them.
Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't that, we wouldn't have seen the 8-hour epic. But I saw the Danny Boyle thing advertised, and I was like, it doesn't sit right on Disney, does it?
No, it doesn't. doesn't.
The Pistols, man, it doesn't sit right. So I don't know, but I still want to watch it. That's the
Do
thing.
you know who? Maybe we're veering off point. I'm veering off Dexys, but I'll just add this just bit. That John Lydon said who he wished directed it.
Who?
Ricky Gervais.
No way, really? Oh my god, I love that.
That'd be interesting, man.
Ah, I bet Gervais would love to do it.
yeah, I bet.
Ah. I thought it was a bit odd with Danny Boyle. Hang on. Anyway,
Sorry,
probably won't be watching it.
veering off. I think the connection there is artistic rebellion.
Exactly
In the
that.
face of
Exactly that.
commerce.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, looking back now, I think Kevin Rowland, a bit like Johnny Rotten looking back, you know, they've still got the same mentality, they've still got the same views, opinions, that they just see maybe how they would have done it different now, with a bit of wisdom, being a bit older, instead of the younger, fuck you know what I mean? But I love that they did that.
You've got to go through that phase to get to the other.
Yeah.
To get to the other side.
And I love that they did that. So in 1982, they released the 2AA album. Complete change of music, style, band members, everything really.
Yeah.
Because he was sick of, he didn't want that. He didn't want the success of...
Do you think we should mention sometimes who he wrote some of the songs with?
What, I'm searching for solo was?
Throughout their career, I suppose, like Kevin Archer.
Yeah.
Because of there is a story, isn't it, that Blue Box Babes, which was Kevin Archer's band, and he made a demo, and Kevin heard this, and all of a sudden the song came out, and it was called "Come On Eileen."
Yeah. And there's still now, when Kevin Archer's like, well, I wrote that song. That's right, because he heard that, and he was like, oh, that was a good song,
But
Kevin.
in '95, he gave him 30% of the royalties.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, because apparently he went to... Kevin Archer had been working on this new song. He phoned him up and said, come over and listen to this song. So he went over and listened to it. Yeah, that's all right, that. And then Kevin Archer said, when he went away, I didn't hear any more from him until I heard fucking Come On Eileen on the radio. But again, just like the first album, so they released this album, right, we're going to get away from, we don't want fans that just come in for one song. Oh my God, what was coming? Even worse than Gino. They released Come On Eileen off 2AA, and of course go straight to number one again. And again...
It was a transatlantic hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, right across the world. Yeah. and still played at weddings today. But even bigger than Gino. And then, so straight away you got Kevin Rowland going, oh my fucking God, I've done it again.
Well, the one thing I'm going to say is I've got many a friend who plays the guitar, and many musicians who turn around and he goes, oh fuck, I can't work out the chords.
Can't play it, yeah. So musically intrinsic, isn't it? Yeah. I can imagine that. But can you imagine Kevin Rowland, like, we're going to write an album, but this time we don't want the hits. We don't want... Okay, he might not have written the song, but straight away he put out a song and it smashes the charts again. So straight away he's in the same position as he was with the first album. Oh, for fuck's sake. And you can imagine the despair of that. There's some great songs on 2AA.
There is some fantastic songs. Because I'll make a confession that I'm more fave Searching for the Young Soul Rebels and Don't Stand Me Down. And because we were doing a podcast, maybe that doesn't make me sound like the biggest dick.
You are.
But I
no, I know we talked about this.
It wasn't that.
Yeah. No, I know we talked about this a few months ago.
And I've been listening to it, and I think it's about.
It was the last.
I think it stands alongside.
It's an amazing album. It's the last out of the three that I got into.
Yeah.
I love it as much now as I do the other two, but in a different way. You've got Old on there. You've got Let's Make This Precious. Jackie Wilson said. Celtic Soul Brothers.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. Liars Hate to Eat, which is a great song.
Yeah.
And they're all great songs, but again, it's just remembered for this one fucking song, like Searching for the Young Soul Rebels. So can you imagine his despair of that? You know, and why he was so.
And dare I say, as a Celt, I do have a soft spot for the Celtic soul brother. Because that's about Kevin Archer being a Scot and him being a son of Irish immigrants and having Irish roots. And it was like they had this sort of like feeling of connection with each other, having Celtic roots. And it's not just about a Celtic schmooze fest. It's also about sort of like the idea of I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
There's a massive. He really does go into his Celtic roots on that album, doesn't he? But then it comes full circle then on the last one, I think.
Yeah.
Because when you get the violin, he starts. So on this, really, he replaces the horns for violins and strings, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Helen Mara is a fantastic.
Amazing
violinist.
Yeah, and she's on "Don't Stand Me Down." She's all over that. She's the only one that I think the saxophonist as well came over, didn't he? But again, the lineups are different.
From the Al Green, no, that's on "Don't Stand Me Down."
Yeah. The lineup changed again on 2AA, and they went to I think 8. Was it 8 from 10? 8 members I think on 2AA, which went down to 4 on Don't Stand Me Down, didn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot more stripped down, Don't Stand Me Down. But I love 2AA. I think it's a great party record. If you want to put an album on and get everyone up dancing, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of...
I think you can also...
it's
got some nice, really good torch ballads.
There's a lot of that.
Soul on it.
Yeah.
Which can go really wrong.
Yeah, it can.
Wrong, isn't it? Can you imagine? Yeah. But then when it's done right, it's like...
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. How you get that right...
I know.
I mean, just because
you've got to have that confidence. He had that confidence to do it.
I think they had the musicians. I think.
Yeah, he did have the musicians.
You know what I mean? I think they had the musicians.
He said in that interview when they started out, it was like he said, "Well, how did you get the band together?" And he said, "Basically, I knew I wanted a saxophonist, a trombonist, I wanted a trumpet player. So anyone that turned up with an instrument, right, you're in the band." But even that worked. It worked. I hope it's true.
A punk effort with a soul end.
That's what I love about it. It just worked. You put the ingredients together and you got this beautiful fucking thing from it, you know?
No, definitely, man. Yeah, no, I think it's an absolute, I think it's a very underrated record.
Yeah, I'm glad you really like it. I knew you
I
were.
really love it.
It was the last one that I came to because those two were the first for me. And then I think I left it a few years. I just thought, well, those two are like two of my favourite all-time albums
ever.
So 2AA has got to be good. I've got to get past this Common Eileen thing.
Yeah. I've got to get past the video.
Yeah. The ice creams and the dungarees.
And the dungarees.
Oh no.
I loved the sort of Searching for the Young Soul Rebels look, you know what I mean? I love the donkey jacket.
Yeah, see, me too, and that's a mod thing.
And I think he even mentioned Robert De Niro from Mean Streets.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was just like you said,
that is a great
the mod thing and Mean Streets.
But don't you think even... But don't you think even like, you know, the arsey Kevin Rowland as he was, would have thought, I'm going to go completely against the grain now
and do something.
People look go, what the fuck is that? But it's still a great song, and he did it.
I'm going to alienate everybody.
Yeah. You can get a single to number one.
I mean, in a good way as well.
Yeah. You get a single to number one with people wearing dungarees. No, who else has done that? The Levels, maybe.
Well, they wouldn't exist without Dexys.
No, they wouldn't, would they? Definitely not. Yeah. And he created this new kind of music, as he did with Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, which was this great white soul sound, which has never been done as good, ever.
Yeah.
You know, I love the two-tone stuff, but it's different because you've got the reggae element.
It's the reggae, the ska.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I would do for you.
White soul never works, you know?
Yeah.
I can think of one average white band song, maybe. But the rest is shit, isn't it?
Well, the JBs of James Brown thought they were amazing. Didn't they?
Yeah.
I think. That's the myth, the story goes.
Yeah. The playing was good, didn't it? It did look cool.
But it did,
ginger afro is never a good look, is it?
And it was tight, but it didn't seem to have that same grain.
Didn't have soul, man.
Yeah, it didn't have that grain.
And I think, you know, even on 2AA, they created this new sound. No one else was doing that at the time. Completely different. And I think that's why it probably worked. It was like, come on in, come on the radio. Fucking I've never done anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, even before you watched the video.
Great lyrics as well. You know, like you said, old. That's fantastic.
There's some great lyrics over that album.
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic lyrics. So Jackie Wilson said it's an absolutely banger, I think.
Yeah, and that was Van Morrison's song, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's so much better than Van's version.
I always get the violins and the musical motif from the Celtic Soul Brothers rolling around my head all the time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think, and that's the thing about these first two albums. The opening track, straight away, you know what you're getting. Burn It Down on Soul Rebels.
Yeah, no, they make a statement.
In the first 5 seconds. This is what you're going to listen to.
Let's Make Things Precious, I absolutely love. I listened to that on repeat.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I love that. Right, so then we go into Don't Stand Me Down, and should we go into this in depth? We'll go track by track in a bit, but we'll just lay some background about how it came out. So again, after 2 albums now, he's written #1 hits, which has pissed him off and alienated him. He said himself at the time that I felt like lonely, I felt isolated, I had all this fame, I had success, but nothing had any meaning. I wanted to write an album with meaning. That people would get finally, instead of just going, oh yeah, that's a great #1. And with this album, so we're not going to have any singles.
It sounds to me like an artistic.
Without
sounding pretentious, and I don't think he meant it.
And I don't think they realise that they had.
I never think it comes across as pretentious.
No, I don't.
At all.
No, just artistic.
Yeah.
And I don't think he realised.
It's not like Talking Heads, where it's R with a capital A.
Yeah, no, exactly.
As Marky Smith said.
Capital A for arsehole.
Don't get me wrong, I admire Talking Heads. But sometimes
it just fucking annoys
you.
And even that bit of Roxy music can annoy me sometimes as well. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you think it's a bit studied. It's not from the heart.
It doesn't have.
It's all a bit
soul to it.
Yeah, no, it's all a bit like.
It's studied. It's like art for art's sake. And that's not really what art is for.
No.
I
don't think he realised that, looking back now, he must, but at the time that they had this hardcore following, that were adoring what it was putting out, I think he always just looked at the popular meat and what was going on there, and I think that's what he was fighting all the time. He said himself in that interview that, I wish I hadn't fought against it so much, I wish I'd just enjoyed it. And that must be quite a thing to look back now and go, I had the success and fame, I should have just rolled with it. Enjoyed it, but I don't think we would have got these great songs if he hadn't.
I certainly don't think we would have got this album, would we?
Definitely not.
Which was sort of very much a kickback against Come On Eileen.
Well, it was the anti-everything. Basically, there was no singles ever going to be released off it. That's it. We're not releasing singles. No videos, and even now you struggle to find. There are some on YouTube where they're released after with footage from the band at the time. But there was nothing was put out. So there was no promotion of this album.
You're going very much against the industry grain at that point in time in the mid-80s.
Yeah, definitely. 85 was, everything was about image.
And videos.
And they changed their look, didn't they? So they went for this.
They harnessed image to an art form. I keep repeating that, sorry.
But again, it was anti-image though, wasn't it? It wasn't like, what's popular now, we'll wear that.
Oh yeah, it was definitely anti against sort of a celebrity culture, a celebrity image.
Yeah.
It was artistic, I think.
Because they went with the Ivy League look on this, didn't they?
The
suits
rather than big shoulder pads.
And nobody was doing that. It was like 85. 85, if you imagine at that time, Madonna and all the big pop stuff.
Prince. People who I like.
I love all that stuff, but it was, and this is why when the album came out, it just completely bombed, didn't it? Completely bombed. Apart from the hardcore fans that brought it, it was just dismissed. Now it's seen as this classic, like all great albums really. They're always like Forever Changes was at the time.
I think you need time to sort of assess things, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
Like, what I mean? It's kind of like how things. I think that's one thing I love. That's one thing I love about them, in all that they seem to stand against the time.
Yeah.
And stand on their own.
And that's what makes them timeless.
They're not another post-punk band.
Yeah.
Whilst there's a plethora of post-punk bands and indie bands that are sort of basically...
And they sound of that time, don't they? Instruments and everything. All these 3 albums, I think, are just timeless. I couldn't tell, Searching for the Young Soul Rebels could have come out in 67. Or 87.
Or even yesterday.
And that, I think, is to his credit, that, these albums will be around for another 100, 200 years and will still be seen as classics.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
That's a great thing,
I
you
think
know.
they'll grow perhaps, which I'm hoping. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
He said that he was going to put everything into this album, everything that he had.
And he does. It's so autobiographical about sort of someone going through the pains of success. But sort of discovering themselves and discovering their own identity, and
there's a lot of that on this album, isn't there?
You know, like how he sort of started to understand socialist politics.
Yeah, he says that he got into politics big time on this album.
Yeah.
Even though I think, like, because I was thinking, well, hang on a minute, especially Search of the Young Soul, there's a lot in there on politics, like we were talking about with There My Dear.
But I always love the fact that on This Is What She's Like, he'll also say the so-called socialist. And have a sort of almost Orwellian pop at the sort of vain and studied socialist. His socialism is something genuine.
Yeah, he smelled bullshit.
Yeah, he smelled bullshit.
I love that. I love it. He smelled that. You know, just like yourself. Yeah, I used to go, you know, to left-wing meetings. I'd go to rallies, and I'd look around me and think most of these people are fucking cunts. Even though I love what they stood for, I just think, oh my god, you know, in a year's time you're going to be working in a fucking bank. Do you know what I mean? It was all, you know, it was almost like
I felt a lot like that. I was sort of felt it was sort of like a lot of what they now real buzzword virtue signaling.
Yeah,
you know? And a lot of like. Yeah, it's kind of like socialist politics, but you're going to be like having a second home and living in Cornwall. You know?
It's all good.
It's like,
I think we're living testament to that because we still are the same as we were in our 20s. You know, might be a bit wiser now, a bit about some things, but I've still got the same values and ideals I had then. Much like another one of my heroes, Weller. You know, he's kept that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think Kevin Rowland does, and there's not many musicians that do that. No reason I love him.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, absolutely. No.
So right then, let's move on to "Don't Stand Me Down," the masterpiece of the trilogy, really, the unrecognised masterpiece. Well, maybe recognised now. You think?
I think it's recognised in certain circles.
With time, because when it came out, it just flopped completely, didn't it?
Yeah.
But since it's Uncut Magazine. Cited it as a neglected masterpiece, and it was selected as one of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. I'd love to know what the other 1000 were. I might have to find that edition of Uncut. And in 2002, it was remastered by EMI in collaboration with Kevin Rowland.
Well, in The Independent, I read that it wasn't in any lists or anything, but they claimed that Searching for the Young, Soul Rebels, and Don't Stand Me Down were some of the defining classics of British pop music.
Well, and they're right.
And that was quite recent. It was in an interview with what he was doing, the gigs he was doing not so long ago.
I wish I had gone to them, you know.
Yeah, so do I.
But I didn't know if it'd be full of the newer stuff, which I struggled to get into. Maybe it's because I'm so with these albums, you know. I thought, they're just not playing the new stuff. You never know, because especially with Kevin, antagonistic ones, if I'm not playing them, you just have the new stuff.
You might do a Lou Reed and play sort of Metal Machine music.
yeah. But I don't know, are they still doing stuff now, or?
Yeah, I think.
I'd fucking love to see them if I knew they were going to play. Do you know, like, you get these bands, I said to you, didn't I, went to see, like, Debbie Gray doing the White Ladder album. If they just said, right, we're going to tour, but we're just going to play Don't Stand Me Down, or we're just going to play Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, I'd be there in a fucking heartbeat.
I'd go watch them.
I would, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I would. It's just that, innit? I mean, you're going to get the new songs. So they went from an 8-piece to a... Sorry, mate. I'm sniffing those as well. I must apologise for that. Fucking hay fever's really bad today.
Don't worry about it.
So we went to a 4-piece on this band, but they had lots of session musicians. So I'll go through with their playing. So they had Vincent Crane on piano, who used to play for Atomic Rooster. Julian Lippman on mandolin. Tim Dancy, who had been Al Green's drummer on drums, which is why,
you can tell they've got somebody of that quality.
Yeah, he's got that soul and that groove still. And Tommy Evans on steel guitar. former Dexys members Jim Patterson on trombone, John Edwards on bass, and Robert Noble on organ and synthesizer. So they did pull a lot of people in on it, but the band itself, as far as, I don't know why I say promotion and that, because they didn't promote anything, but you know, they would...
It's quite self-contained.
Yeah, and I think, again, that was you said we wanted to strip it down, and it is a stripped down album, isn't it? It feels like you're in the studio with them.
Yeah, it's a very intimate record.
Really intimate record, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it starts, I think, you know, starts off straight away like that. You go straight, you know, so we'll go through it track by track, shall we?
Yeah, because the occasional flicker has that really beautiful guitar lick at the start.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, first track on it, occasional flicker. Straight away, you're intimate, you're right in the room with them almost.
Yeah.
And you just feel, it sets a tone for the album. There's a lot of
I could actually
word.
just hit the repeat button on that guitar lick.
Yeah, I love that guitar.
It's the tone is really lovely.
Yeah.
And especially someone who's
when the drums come in.
Obsessed with multi-track Steve Jones kind of guitar sounds. It's kind of actually like these days. It's kind of like no, that's the kind of guitar they got. Right?
Yeah, again the antithesis of
yeah. I'd like to sort of do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't need to. I don't have to go big.
Yeah, they didn't go big at all on this
you know
today.
what I mean? I can play Tiki-Taka.
Yeah. I mean, and he said this himself about this album. You know, I put everything of myself into it, and it literally was him pouring his soul out, wasn't it? But you know, with no horns to back it up, no violins, no dancey sort of
belief in his voice as well.
Belief in his voice on this is the best out of all the three albums, I think.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just his voice that carries it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. You go straight in with the occasional flicker, and the opening lines. No, I don't want sympathy. I just want somewhere for these sins to go. Compromise is the devil talking, and he spoke to me.
Ah, fantastic! Absolutely,
absolutely
mind-blowing lyrics. I think. And speaking about. To me, how do you interpret those? I sort of interpret that as about the sort of artistic and commercial.
Yeah, he's talking about the last two albums, isn't he?
Yeah.
And what he wants on this album and how he feels about that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you can reel those lyrics off actually like that because of I'm the one I'm more familiar lyrically with is Knowledge of Beauty. Really.
Oh yeah, we'll go on to that one.
We'll get on to that one.
That's one of the best tracks on there.
I think those are as good opening lines as you can get, really.
I think
statement of intent.
Yeah, and he's also talking about. There's a lot of him talking about the bitterness he felt about the past two albums, success, and how he dealt with it. You know, and trying to come to terms with that. He pours it all out on this fucking record, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting if you hear this record first and then go back and listen to the other two. And I did it the other way around, starting with essentially on Soul Records. I think that's why this album blew me away so much when I heard it. I was like. Yeah, that is so different. And it's still not an album that sounds like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's kind of like... And
I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on why I love it so much, why it means so much to me.
Is it because of it's somebody's personal records? And it's sort of like, this is personal.
Yeah, it's not like that. Yeah, it's not like, because that would annoy me.
Yeah, it's still a pop album.
It's still a great album.
Yeah.
There's songs on it, even though they didn't put singles out.
And there's songs on it.
Yeah, there could be singles on there. You know, This Is What She's Like could have been a great single, even though it's 7 minutes long.
What's it called? I keep
Listen to This.
Listen to This.
Listen to This,
That's a pop single.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great pop single.
Yeah.
It's
so there were singles on there.
Made in 1985.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that is one of the few with the horns on it as well, isn't it? Many horns on there. But yeah, they could have had singles off it, but again, they chose not to. We're not going to have any, because I think, again, he didn't want what he had with the previous two albums, where the song would become bigger than the band, bigger than the statement of the album, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like Alex Ferguson, isn't it? It's like nobody could be bigger than Manchester United.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
And if they are, get rid of it.
Sorry, man.
That's a great metaphor. I love that. It's so true. And if they are, they get a boot in the face and they're off to Real Madrid.
Saying that to an Arsenal fan.
No, mate, that's totally it. I get that. And there's
not
enough.
Arsene Wenger would have done.
Yeah, Arsene Wenger would have done totally the same. Yeah. And that's why it's all gone tits up for us both since.
Sorry to use a football analogy.
No, that's great enough. Football and music, mate. You know there's nothing more important. So then we go on to the second track. This Is What She's Like. And to me, this is a 7-8 minute epic.
Oh,
isn't
this is
it?
a Magnus.
It's got everything in it. It's got Beach Boys interlude.
It's starting off with a sort of soul jam, and starting off with a monologue, isn't it? You know,
just him sitting talking, and there's a lot of that on this record, isn't there? A lot of just chatting back and forth, and then he breaks into song, and that's what he does so well. He goes just from talking, and then he just starts singing, and it takes my breath away. It's like, that is a talent to do that. Go from, I don't know any other singers that do that, really.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Probably the closest to that could do that. Morrissey, in a way. You go from quite spoken word to quite.
I don't think he can do the spoken word as well as Kevin Rowland.
I don't think anyone does it as well.
So
as Kevin
I don't
Rowland,
think.
I'm trying to think of other people that have tried it.
What makes me want to make a spoken word record more than Dexys?
I don't think anyone else has really done it, have they?
Yeah.
And that alone is the reason to listen to this album, just because it is unlike anything you will ever hear.
Or if they do, it's certainly veering out of a pop sensibility.
Maybe if you go, in a lot of sort of hip hop
poetry. Or,
a lot of that. But that's what he infuses in this. I think there are elements of that, beat poetry.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Even hip hop, he's rapping on some of those
if anybody
songs.
has a spoken word, going back to Touré, if anybody has a spoken word song about searching for the spirit of Brendan Behan in Ireland,
reminisce.
I love them.
Yeah. I mean, he does when you think 1985 and where the hip hop scene was, he's quite ahead of the game on that.
No, definitely. I never thought of it like that before, but
quite interesting.
No, it is quite interesting. No, definitely. And then this is what she's like. It's just a sort of
I love how
believable ambition.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And I love lyrically how he sets it up. It's just he's trying to describe basically this girl he loves, why he loves her, and she's the antithesis of everything that he hates, basically. Those kind of people. Well, she's not like that. And then this other guy, well, what is she like? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. In time. And then he does it. And he gets to the end of it. And he said, in the lyrics, he says, she must be something. Yeah, she is. Well, how did this all happen? Well, just all at once, really. The Italians have a word for it. What word was that? A thunderbolt or something. Oh, I love that. He's trying to describe love, but he almost can't. But he's
like the one with the so-called socialista.
Yeah. You know the kind of people who put creases in their Levi's. He's attacking people. He attacks people, but at the same time he pulls it back and goes, "But I love her because she's not like that." And I don't think there's a better way of getting that love down in the lyrics.
Is there something about Dexys and Kevin Rowland that's a search for honesty?
Yeah, definitely.
A search for a certain kind of truth.
Across all 3 albums.
Yeah.
That's what he's looking for. It's just no bullshit. Real. It's fucking real.
Yeah.
And all my favourite artists have got that. I've got that.
But he's got it in his droves, though, I think.
Yeah.
But I think what's important to me, a lot of it is like through the vernacular of pop art.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't want to sound pretentious.
Pop art, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, this is popular art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like sort of, and like I said before, it's not art with a capital A.
Yeah. And what a tragedy is none of this got radio.
People as well.
Yeah.
On his own terms.
Yeah. None of this got any radio play, did it? There's no promotion for the album, nothing. So what we're hearing now and the fact we're talking about it, I think it's just testament literally to the fucking music on the album, nothing else.
Yeah, it is testament.
It's just that.
Testament to their writing ability.
So we go with track number 3, Knowledge of Beauty.
Knowledge of Beauty, which has a very interesting history.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, no, it is as well, which is a sort of song about his it's not coming to terms with, but sort of realigning himself with his Irish roots. And sort of, certainly not coming to terms with. It's like just realigning, and which would have been very unfashionable. And
you think at the time, because I mean, it's since been retitled, hasn't it? It was originally called My National Pride, and then it was changed because we had the Troubles at the time, and a lot of shit going on, and the IRA and that, and so it was changed to Knowledge of Beauty.
to say that you were Irish with that kind of pride might have...
it might put you in prison.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I love the fact it's gone back now to My National Pride, which are in the lyrics. So he ends on that. And he's that bit when he's singing that at the end. My national, he's fucking pouring it out. I love that.
Oh, the guts are coming out, sort of like sort of like.
I love the fact that it's been changed back to that title now, but I also love. I think Knowledge of Beauty is a great title as well, because it is that as well. It's about the beauty of where you live, your roots, where you come from. But, you know, you can imagine. I get that feeling when I go up the hills.
Yeah.
This is fucking it.
This is
where, nature, where you feel. Well, you feel safe, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think he's sort of saying that in any browbeating nationalist.
No. I think it literally is about
people,
nature, people. It's not
about how for Irish history there'd been a lot of immigration. And the what's the word I'm looking for? The diaspora. Of like the Irish people, and like how he sort of affiliated himself with a lot of those people and knew how they felt and things like that.
A lot of the poets and a lot of
and like you can take that all the way back to Burn It Down, where he talks about people like Oscar Wilde, and he talks about Brendan Behan again, and Sean O'Casey, James Joyce, and people like that. And he's looking at that amazing literary heritage, which. I'd be
proud of that. I'd be proud of that. I tried to sum this song up in, like, I need to write something that will sum it up, because I had to explain that song to somebody. So I've got country soul, loose groove epic on heritage, growing up, and the wasteland of nationalistic agendas.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Cool, man.
That's fantastic. That's really good. Yeah,
it is a great song, isn't it?
It's a fantastic song,
Amazing song.
Absolutely great.
So we're going to track 4. One of these things. I think like Burn It Down for the first album, he attacks his contemporaries on it in a good way. And other sort of bland music was out at the time, really, which I think he had a right to.
Oh yeah, is that the refrain? It all sounded the same.
Yeah. They used the hook from Where Was the London?
I was going to say that. What the Warren Zevon track?
Which is quite a good thing to do, to use that. It just fits, doesn't it?
He's got some. You got on my own balls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But they actually got clearance for that in the end, didn't they? Because he said we were playing it and we were like, "Oh, this sounds like the Werewolves of London," without the woohoos.
Yeah.
So we just 10 times better, isn't it? But I said, it's a great. And again, it's got that arrogance, but it's contained. It's like, again, we're going to back it up with a good song, you know, and what we say is real and how we feel. Again, it's just true, man. It's not just, it's not an almost kind of Oasis, put your 2 fingers up, is it? It's in the fucking music.
And then come up with like Liam's solo career, which is very dull. Don't get me wrong, I have a soft spot for Liam in many ways, but Jesus Christ.
And some of his clothes are fucking good.
Yeah, some of his clothes, I say that as
wearing a pretty green.
Yeah,
we love you, Liam.
He's got some great clothes. Yeah.
But no, they could just back it up, couldn't they? They backed it up with the music. It didn't have to be anything else. Didn't need to have interviews and press releases. It was all by the album. It's all there, isn't it? From the covers to, we were talking about that earlier, weren't we? The Searching for the Young Soul Rebels cover. How that must have influenced the Smiths.
Yeah, I have no real evidence of that, but I don't know. We got on a hunch that we sort of feel that it must have influenced a lot of indie bands around.
I think so.
There's somebody else that had something like that, but I can't think of anybody in particular. You know, if there was somebody out there that does listen to this podcast and has a fascinating history about album covers, I'd love to know. And if there is a connection between Dexys and the Smiths, you know what I mean? That'd be sort of something I'd like to be enlightened about. Really.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's all one thing. The clothes. The art, the album artwork.
It's all one, isn't it?
The music is the most important thing, man. You know what I mean? It's like a sort of sense of like how Warhol or Bowie
Yeah.
kind of created that idea, and the Pistols and the Beatles as well created the idea that you can make this world. You know? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, definitely. So I've talked about the session musicians on the album before we go on to the next track, but I haven't talked about the key 4 members. So obviously we had Kevin Rowland, we had guitarist, that great guitar you were talking about, Billy Adams, violinist Helen O'Hara, who was on.
She's got fantastic violinist.
Great, isn't she? She's on 2IA as well.
She did a lot of fantastic work on both of those, right?
Yeah, and then the saxophonist Nick Gatfield.
Feeling in her playing, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Apparently the saxophonist Nick Gatfield, he left the band after the recording sessions were completed. He said that because the album took 2 years to make. That's what I love about this album. It literally just sounds like they've just got together about it and they recorded it in an hour in the studio because it just sounds so off the cuff. But took 2 years to fucking make. Painstaking. Nick Gatfield said in an interview that it was a long, drawn out, painful process. And I think, so I can imagine Kevin Rowland again, like Arthur, again, like Anton, you know, would have been a perfectionist. This is my name going on this. We're going to get this right.
Yeah.
Another
I'm
reason
saying
I
what
love
I
him.
want to say.
If I'm going to put my heart into it, it's going to be true.
It's going to sound like...
It's going to be sound like my soul.
Yeah. And what... I suppose, do you think it's a lot about what you hear in your head?
Yeah, definitely. I think he knew what he wanted to do. Straight away, when he went to the studio, I know what I want and we're going to get it.
Yeah.
It took 2 years to get there. I think I always love that as well, when album takes time. And then you think it's... But it doesn't sound like that, doesn't it? It doesn't sound, I love the Roses and... and I love the Second Coming, but it sounds like it took 5 years to make.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's disjointed. Whereas this sounds like literally I've recorded it in one go.
Yeah, no, it does not sound like a record that took that long.
No,
so
it doesn't, does it?
Painstaking. Does it?
No, not at all. It must have been if you were there, probably. And Helen O'Hara said she loved working on this album, but she said the most amazing thing was that it ever got released. Because when they went to the record company, they go, there we go, we finished it. And we're like, we can't put this out. Nobody will buy this. I think Kevin Rowland said at the time, he said to him, this will kill your commercial success. And he was like, I don't give a shit about that. This is what I want to go out and put it out.
Yeah, the balls, because it's not, I suppose the record company, I don't know if this is true, but in my mind, I'd imagine the record company would basically want to Come On Eileen again.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe
Can you imagine them when they got this?
It would be like listening to Tonight's the Night, wouldn't it?
I mean, look at the cover again. They're just sitting on chairs. Even that, none of them are smiling. They're all quite sneery. And they're just sitting on chairs in suits. You can't imagine a worse cover for this is going to be an amazing album, can you? The cover for Don't Tell Me Down. It's hilarious, really. You couldn't go more. If you thought, right, how can we make an album cover that's literally look like they're going to a business meeting, don't they?
Look at Kevin.
No, it's hilarious. There's just nothing that tells you what's inside, is there? And maybe that's another reason people didn't buy it at the time. I love that album now because to me that's just iconic. That is Don't Stand Me Down, isn't it?
It's
And I love the back.
This picture comes
I love that. Yeah, I love that on the CD, the one where they're walking on the grass.
Yeah.
I love that cover.
Absolutely.
And I think that's actually a better cover because you get the nature in the background. Which, to me, this album is about nature. There's a lot of nature in this album.
Yeah.
But on that, it's just shot in the studio.
You call it feel to it.
Yeah. So I prefer the CD issue.
I love that, and I think he looks absolutely amazing.
Oh, he looks like the guy out of The Intouchables on that one with his hat and his coat.
Elliot Ness. It looks like a French Nouvelle Vague film.
It does, doesn't it?
Which just does me.
Yeah. And a lot of those, all those shots that are used on the CD reissue were taken at the time as well.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they didn't do any promotion, so nothing was released, was it? Like the videos.
Yeah.
And... Wait a minute, so we go back to the album. Where did we go to? Track? Where did we go to? Did we do one of those things?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. So we're on to Reminisce Part 2.
Yeah.
So Reminisce Part 1 was originally... It was recorded earlier, and I think that's, as we said earlier, that turned up on the CD reissue of 2IA, but it's not on the original release.
I think if you go online and part of Spotify, you'll get that.
You'll get it now as a... on the original album that was released.
I
it
think
wasn't
you
on, was
can
it?
get all the masters and all the versions. If,
It fucks me up sometimes now because you never know, unless you get the vinyl, what the original
which
was.
one is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with all the reissues and added bonus track, I love all that. I love that about CDs.
Yeah.
You know, some of my favourite albums, I've been listening to that.
But then you do want to know which is the original.
What they put out.
What was the original one?
Yeah, and I love the fact that, you know, when they did, this was the only Dexys one, I think, anyway, when they did remaster it, that Kevin Rowland was involved in, probably because he was like, if you're going to fucking remaster it, I want to be involved.
It came out in Creation.
Yeah.
In about this, because the one I've got here.
That was the one when they first reissued it on CD in 2000.
2003 is the one.
Yeah, 2002 they first reissued it on CD on Creation, and that was the one Kevin Rowland was involved in mastering it.
All right, because I thought there was a version where like he wasn't happy with it because they went with like the Owen Morris kind of style of mixing, and it came out very big. And it obviously like that, all the sort of acoustic instruments couldn't take the sort of that sort of loud. You need big electric guitars for that sound. It could have been.
I'm not so up on that. You know me with my vinyl. I'm not so up on the CD reissues.
That's all right.
I only know through Spotify really and go through it like that. And I must say I do. I love all the added bonus stuff they put on it. You know, I love the fact that things change and you can with time with a lot of albums. But that should have been on that album. Why wasn't it? Yeah, you think that with the Beatles?
Yeah.
Stuff they could have done. They didn't, but constraints and all that, isn't it?
But going back to the track Reminisce Part 2, I absolutely adore it.
I do, mate. Starts off with the guitar lick from First Time I Ever Saw Your Face with Roberta Flack. Straight away, you instantly recognisable, isn't it? And then just I love the way he sort of references records from his past. And the girl that he used to know.
How music is filled with nostalgia and recollection. And,
I love that when he said, there's that lyric when he's like, you know, we're walking down the street and we wanted to pick a song, adopt a song that would describe our love.
And she picked, wasn't there, what was like...
I'll say forever my love.
I'll say forever my love.
Jimmy Ruffin. I picked Lola by the Kids. And then he says, she won. But I'll never forget those times. And then he ends it by singing, I'll say,
and I tell you what, when he sings that,
fucking gets me, that does.
When he sings that, and you know, don't punch me in the face for saying this, but I actually love it more than the Jimmy.
Same, man. I love the way he sings that. Yeah. And then I want it to go into that. Because he chatters it up a bit, he changes it, and I love
just the way that he, because I've got... You
have come to me. And
I was like, I haven't had Jimmy Ruffin, so I went and listened to it. I liked it.
I love it.
But I wasn't like, I love the way Kevin Rowland sung it.
Oh no, me too.
With that tenderness.
But don't you think it's because he's talking about, well, you know this, you know that in a relationship, you know, you have that song that, you know, or songs that you just have with that person, nobody else, and it means so much. And he's feeling that as he's singing it.
Yeah, I think.
When he's singing "I'll Say Forever My Love," he's singing that to her.
Well, most probably Jimmy's just belting it out.
No, Jimmy was just belting out a song that was handed to him.
Those old Holland.
Whereas when he's singing it, he's singing about, he's thinking back to that time.
When he talks about I'm leaving on a jet plane as well as number one or something. It was number one at the time.
Yeah.
I love that because
I don't think there's a better...
It gets that kind of teenage love, doesn't it? And that sort of older reflection on teenage love and those moments. And there's that sort of mixture of sort of like despondency, but sort of maybe growing older, but sort of also that sort of...
Tinge of sadness, though, isn't there?
Sadness,
That love's still there a little bit in his heart.
Yeah. But sort of like the bliss of it as well. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah, so it really touches my heart.
Yeah, that song really gets me.
And then talking about being spoken word, it was one of those songs that really opened me up to. You don't have to sing. You can in a spoken word thing. You can.
Because the only bit he sings is when he goes into "I'll Say Forever My Love."
Yeah,
which is even more poignant.
Yeah. The guitar. It's absolutely beautiful. That's why I wanted the Jimmy Ruffin version to be because it's much more up tempo, isn't it?
Yeah. typical Motown fare, really.
Yeah.
But no, I love how he does that, and really. And then to have that, and you think about he's doing that over the first time I ever saw your face, which again is poignant because he's talking again about this love that he had that is now gone, and he's reflecting on. I don't think there's a better song out there about reflecting on love than that one.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think I
gets me that song.
I can't argue with you, man.
Gets me, doesn't it? Gets you. I know it gets you.
It gets me, man.
Yeah,
it gets me.
Yeah.
No, it does. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. As does the next track as well, really.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
Well, again, this was retitled, wasn't it? It was originally called Listen to This, and then I Love You, Listen to This. But I'm glad they did that again, because it is, for me, it's one of the greatest love songs ever. I love this song so fucking much.
Oh, it warms the cockles of my heart, dear. I say something so cheesy and corny.
The bliss of it, and then also that, again, even when he's singing, I love you. Listen to this, I love you.
Yeah.
It's, again,
I want to sing the refrain, but I bet I'm not going to say I'm not going to sing the refrain. I notice I do that a little bit too often, so I'm banging into a riff or something. It's like, sounding like some sort of, like, I don't know, football match.
Lyrically, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I was thinking of a compromise when I saw the beauty in your eyes. It heightens something in me, so I'll say so. You were always near to me, and thoughts of you will stay with me. Oh, until the day I die.
Yeah, isn't there something back in '83? Is there?
Yeah. Back in '83. So again, it's reflecting on the love, isn't it? It's reflecting on something that's gone.
And I suppose post Come On Eileen Blues as well. Like, you stood by me. You know,
there's a lot of that in this.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a great soul song.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I mean? It's got that.
The saxophone kicks in, and
no, definitely, man, absolutely. It's
a perfect love song for me.
No, definitely. Those two in particular, I really love. Absolutely.
It's nice that they're together on the album as well, isn't it? Because you've got Reminisce, which to me is a song.
I never thought about that, but you're bang on. That's a fantastic.
It's perfectly put together.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, for me, Reminisce is like how a song becomes a memory of a love, whereas Listen to This is more, this is the love I feel now.
Yeah.
I'm going to shout it out.
It's so tender, I think.
Me, isn't it?
Which is amazing for someone who can be so prickly and aggressive.
Yeah, it is. That's what he does so well, doesn't he? He does that so well.
Maybe that's, I don't know for you, but maybe that's one reason why I love doing something. Sort of the polarisation between being prickly and aggressive and being really
tender at the same time.
Yeah.
And not many artists do that. You know, Neil Young does that perfectly as well.
Yeah.
Why I love Neil Young. He does that perfectly. He can be, come on, you know.
Yeah.
And then he can also just,
and then really understanding and empathetic as well, sort of thing, which is quite a statement of a personality, really, to be able to do that artistically. You know what I mean? That's quite incredible.
And then we go on to the close of the album, then the waltz, which I think is probably the darkest of all, because it's quite a light, uplifting album, I think.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean dark as in, but quite moody in a way. But I think it's a perfect end, because I think it gives it that balance. You know what I mean, between the light and dark.
Yeah. Doesn't it have some more folk elements?
Yeah, it is quite folky.
Yeah.
He talks about there's no beauty anymore.
What absolutely. Because sometimes when you're feeling that, it can hammer the nail into the coffin.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and it's got that remorse to it, hasn't it?
And the vocal refrain and of that lyric is perfect.
Yeah.
You can have it on your headphones lying in your bed, and maybe you're not actually listening to it that much.
Yeah, that was great on headphones.
You're just doing something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And all of a sudden he goes, there's no beauty anymore. Yeah, and the way that he sings it, it's kind of like, oh my.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. And again, he goes from that spoken word straight into singing it.
Yeah,
that's what he does so well on this album. He'll go from just scat into just whoa. Where's that voice come
I
from?
really think he's an underrated singer.
I think so. I think he's one of the greatest British vocalists of all time.
Yeah, no,
And he doesn't get the credit for that.
Yeah,
he doesn't get the credit for
there's not
that.
many people that will
No.
and they should do.
Yeah. And the title of this album came from the lyrics of this song as well.
Yeah.
Don't stand me down or around, for I'll never stop saying your name. I love that.
I was always totally fascinated by the album title.
Yeah, I love the
Don't
album
Stand Me
title, Don't
Down.
Stand Me Down,
Yeah,
and what it
yeah.
means.
Yeah.
What do you think it means? What do you take from it? 'Cause I'm still not sure. I think it just basically means don't judge me until you listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I got too punky about it or too quadrophenia about it. But it was more like don't.
There's arrogance
Yeah, a
in
little
it.
bit like don't push me down until you bang me. Or something like
There's that arrogance in it as well. Isn't
Yeah.
All the titles, I think, have got that. Such as the Young Sorrows, there's all that. There's a yearning. But also, backbone to it.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic mix of aggression and tenderness throughout their career. You know what I mean? It's sort of like and cockiness.
Cockiness, yeah.
And a
What
great
do you
kind
mean?
of cocky, mixed with the sort of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely, that's for me a delicious blend.
Yeah.
And that goes to my favourite musicians, my favourite directors, my favourite actors, my favourite footballers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's got that Cantona about him, hasn't he?
I was thinking of Cantona.
Yeah, exactly what the first thought. Looking at the back of that, the way he's got his hands in the pockets, it could almost be Cantona with his hands on the hips.
Yeah, I love that shot.
Yeah,
I think
too.
I've been trying to work.
Again, he's looking as if to say, yeah, it's a fucking good album, this, mate. You want to buy it? Buy it. If you don't buy it, it's your fault. You're missing out. I'm not going to whore myself. If you don't discover my greatness, you're lost. But if reading interviews and stuff, it did, and I think it was Helen O'Hara, the violinist, who said it really affected him that this album didn't do well. Even though the success of the first two albums were a hindrance to him, I think this album, Bombing, really got to him. She said it really got him down.
Yeah.
I think he almost kind of knew. In a way, maybe even sort of added to that with, we're not going to promote it, we're not going to... What did he expect?
Just reading at the back of the CD 2003 reissue, he sort of said that the criticism really hurt him. And that he sort of felt like a lot of... I've just flicked through it, so I'm not ready to that it really hurt him, and he felt
because he put in his everything
the artwork and misunderstood the music and misunderstood what they were talking about.
Because I think out of all the three albums, he would probably say this was him laying his soul bare.
Yeah.
And if that's misunderstood, that must fucking hurt. Be like, right, your greatest fucking novel, no one reading it.
If I ever got to it.
Same.
My novel was really rubbish anyway. I'm still going to go.
So the CD reissues we were saying, weren't they? So, and I think when they did reissue on CD, it was when people started going, hang on a minute, this is actually a good fucking album, and I think that's the great thing about Creation, that he really did push that on the gig.
You've got to give him that.
I'll give him that credit.
I even give old Bobby Gillespie bigged up Dexys and said about it.
Did he?
Yeah, no, he did.
Oh, good man. Yeah.
Because I thought they'd be a bit, I don't know, they wouldn't go for it, but they said, no, Dexys would be it.
I love Bobby.
Yeah,
I love Bobby.
Yeah. So if they're alright for Bobby Gillespie, who Alex, what's his name, the guy who wrote The Guardian or Mixed Mag sometimes, I can't remember his surname. Alexis or something.
Yeah, I know you mean.
Yeah.
He
sort of describes Bobby Gillespie as a music snob.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm a music snob.
I thought, well, if he likes Dexys Midnight Runners, he's alright by me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, they were right by me, man. I think these three albums, so I think, if anyone just goes out and listens to one of these albums from here in this podcast, it'll be amazing. Just so you don't think that there's only Come On Eileen and Gino that they did, because there's the album tracks of... I love those two songs, don't get me wrong. The album tracks just stand up, don't they? Yeah, they're great albums, and I hope we turn a few people onto them. If we don't, then they're lost.
Oh, well, if there's one person that would listen to a Dexys Midnight Runners album, I'll be happy.
We've done something, innit? Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you made these 3 albums. They've changed my life in lots of different ways. And
yeah, it changed all I listened to whilst living in London. Well, I listened to lots of other things, but one of the big things I listened to around about that time was Searching for the Youngster Rebels.
And that's amazing, isn't it? Because now all your memories of that time as well are linked to that, so you can listen to that album.
I'm very positive and very
great thing about music, isn't it?
Listening to Dexys.
Yeah.
And the other week they saved me. I was sort of had some run-ins with some people I know, and even an old friend who I had a run-in with as well, and I was sort of feeling, I don't know, like that, as if the past, I couldn't get away from the past.
Yeah.
And even though Dexys were part of my past, it helped me out of it, and said, no, you go this way, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great albums do that.
Yeah.
Great albums do that. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, no, thank you, everybody. Love you all.
Cheers.